Good morning. I am so happy to have you all here with me today at our inaugural session of Pathways Dialogues, Conversations That Count. I am Priya Chabra, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you. A special welcome to our guest for the day, Dr. Samir Parikh, Director, Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences, Fortis National Mental Health Program. Welcome, Dr. Parikh. We'll wait for Dr. Parikh to just come in and then proceed. Dr. Parikh has joined us. A very, very good morning to you, Dr. Parikh, and a warm, warm welcome. Mute him.
Yeah, thank you.
It's lovely to have you here with us. And to say a little more about Dr. Parikh, he is a TEDx speaker. He has been invited to share his views at various prestigious national and international forums with a strong emphasis on preventive mental health and skill building. Dr. Parikh has authored several books such as DIY Life Skill Workbooks, Laugh and Learn with Dr. Parikh, A to Z of Empathy, Raising Confident Children, which is a book on parenting and talking about mental health in the classroom. And these are just a few that we're talking about out of the many that he has authored. He has also instituted the Bharat Panchal Award for the best young researcher in the field of psychology and is a mentor to upcoming mental health experts, conducting internships and training courses for students in the field of psychology and psychiatry. Before we move further, I would also like to add that we will be having a question and answer session with all your parenting concerns. So you can send in your questions via the chat mode, and Dr. Parikh will be happy to take as many questions that our time will permit. And now, going further, I would like to request our school director, Captain Rohit Sen Bajaj, to say a few words. Just a moment, sir, one moment. And can you unmute, sir?
Right. Thank you very much, Ms. Priya. Much appreciated. Good morning to all of you who are present here, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here with you and welcome our guest for today. He is someone who is pioneer in his field, having played a significant role in enhancing the image and reach out to mental health across the country. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Samir Parikh, Director, Department of Mental Health and Behavior Sciences, Fortis Mental Health Program. Welcome, Dr. Parikh. It is a pleasure to have you here with us. Dr. Parikh and his team together have been putting in great efforts in encouraging preventive mental health programs among the youth of our country. And kudos to you and your team at the Fortis Mental Health Program for that, Dr. Parikh. I would now like to add a little on the origin of Pathways Dialogues, Conversations That Count, with an ultimate objective of encouraging healthy conversations among our Pathways community on matters that play a significant role in our lives. We have brought forth the Pathways Dialogues. And through this medium, we hope to engage with our PSG community at different levels in conversations through the eyes and the lenses of different people who could be experts in their respective fields, parents from our community, our very own educators, and last but not the least, the voice of our very own PSG students. Nothing gives me more pleasure than to see our Pathwaysians evolve in their journey as they learn, share, unlearn, collaborate, and gain knowledge from their own experiences. I'd like to quote Oscar Wilde here. The best way to make children good is to make them happy. And today our dialogue on parenting in changing times revolves around the challenges we as parents face in these uncertain times and making sure our own children stay happy, joyful through these times. Parenting is an ongoing journey in which we learn every day and with our very own experiences. I would like to encourage you all to actively participate in these dialogues and do hope that we all benefit through these soulful interactions. I would now like to invite Dr. Parikh to share his thoughts with us all. Thank you, Dr. Parikh, for being here with us today.
Thank you. Really appreciate the initiative that your school's taking. I do feel that schools are in a unique position to shape conversations of the society, because it's schools that have children for almost 13 years, their most important 13 years of their lives. They have the parent community engaged, the teacher community that's committed. And I do feel that the role that schools need to play in the society is increasingly becoming more and more important. And I say this, and I know there are parents here and teachers here, and I say this with full responsibility, that beyond academics, schools have so much more role to play. And over the years, I passed out my school in 1989. Over the years, the way life has changed around us, the role of schools needs to continue to evolve, because the challenges young people have as they grow up and grow out into the world are more different and more so tough ones, where academics is a very minute part of it. Not to say that academics is not important. Academics has a very important aspect in any individual's life. But it is not the kind of importance that we sometimes end up making it out, especially when it comes to the whole concept of exams. Look at what has happened around us in the last 6 months, and that's why these times are unique times. The world has gone through an unprecedented crisis. The world is going through, in fact, an unprecedented crisis. We've not been trained. We've not been exposed. We've not even read in our lifetime anything even remotely to what the COVID crisis is. We didn't even know the word pandemic very well, let's say 6-8 months back. We wouldn't have known the meaning of quarantine. We would have never imagined that we would need to wear masks and go out. So the fact is, the society is still learning. We are evolving. And it gives parents, teachers, schools a unique opportunity to use this as a significant teaching moment for young people. We have two options. One option is to go on the other side of COVID and be what we were pre-COVID, which will be unfortunate. And the other option, that we go on the other side of COVID with a different version of our own selves. And I think that has to be the goal. How we achieve it is secondary. We need to be clear about what we want to achieve. What has COVID taught us? Minimalistic living. What has COVID taught us? That we can take care of our own selves. What has COVID taught us? The environment becomes a better place when mankind stops interfering with it. What has COVID taught us? That health workers, frontline workers, and their inspirational effort is something which the young people's new role models can be beyond the celebrities and influencers on social media. These are role models who've gone ahead and ensured that lifeline of the country continues. We've also realized that in such a short span, our entire academic system across the country was able to go digital. I mean, we may not be able to be 100% digital, but even 20% is a way forward. That work from home, we were still able to achieve. Fine, the economy has taken a hit worldwide. But we still found work. We still found the ability to continue. What COVID also taught us is that at the end of the day, it is connectedness that all that counts. Your true relationships, your true support systems, your friends, your family, extended family, cousins. It is these people through the power of which you are actually moving forward and be able to go on the other side of COVID with positive outcomes. In fact, the difference between people who will experience negative or mental health concerns or positive outcomes in a positive mental health is going to be the support system. So there's a lot that we have an opportunity to learn. And maybe post-COVID, we can continue with some digital interface, we can experiment, look into various aspects of life, and then see where it takes us. But we need to be open enough to understand this and let children learn from this. What we also need to understand is COVID has also exposed us to both the positives and negatives of our social media interactions. From fake news to sensational news, to irresponsible role models, to irresponsible comments, that's all out there. And it's something that children are constantly, consistently exposed to, which is a fact. So what we need to do is, we need to figure a way that we create filter. We call it media literacy. We need a young generation that is media literate to be able to learn to filter, to screen, to be able to understand what to pick, what not to pick, what to understand, what to reject, how to filter fact from fiction. You're also living in a world where young people are exposed to a lot of social media influencers. So we need children to learn that social media is and can be used for the positive as well. But one has to be wary about comments, feedback, views, this race of likes and shares. And that's not the true self. In fact, during my workshops, I have been telling children, the difference between your digital portrait self and the real self needs to be as less as possible. Don't be somebody else. And don't be forced to be somebody else. Be yourself. You be yourself. That has to be the goal. So what we need to bring in our parenting and teaching style is that we start giving importance to mental wellness, skill building, resilience, empathy, and pro-social values. At the end of the day, I believe values matters. When I look back at my school, we used to have this model science class, and at that time we used to think that kya padha rahe. And now I think probably one of the better things that we learned in school was the model science. Because what is an individual without values? COVID also brought families together. More time spent between parents and children. A lot more time spent between grandparents and grandchildren. There is robust evidence that if grandparents and grandchildren interact more, children are more confident, their cultural roots are stronger, their self-esteem is better. So yes, we need to encourage that. So that's also a learning. I've had so many parents telling me as to how their children have helped them in doing household tasks. I've had directly so many experiences of children who are psychology students, especially grade 11, who wanted to study more, and they requested us to take summer internship, more classes, this subject also, teach us that also, teach us this also. Overwhelming. We had nearly 25,000 plus kids who took a part of a 7-day workshop series. And frankly, most topics they came up with. So what I've realized is that when we all collectively put our minds together, have a facilitative role with children, give them the space to unfurl their originality, their creativity, and their compassion and passion. And we become the facilitators and not prescribers. And we let them explore and express. At the same time, we instill them with life skills, responsibility, decision making, encourage them to continue to do help seeking behavior, not hesitate to seek help, and create space where they can open up and talk. That's modern day parenting for you. So, what do you do in these times? For students who have online classes, you encourage them, for example, tell them to wear school uniform. Create a home school station for them where they work only in that area, remaining part is their free area. Do that. Encourage online classes as they are happening. Make sure that they still log on and stay logged on and that they are reading. But also encourage them to keep talking to their friends. Also encourage them to do a bit of physical activity. Encourage them to pick up hobbies. Encourage them to explore the world of arts and creativity. So you balance the academic stimulation, the digital work with the non-digital component of life. You do both of that. And that's what will help. Similarly, I also feel that all of us need to appreciate that we ourselves are role models, whether we like it or not. So our behavior, our language, our coping with stress, our dealing with anxiety and uncertainty, the atmosphere we create at home, the patterns of communication we have, will also decide on what children learn from us. For younger children, let them make bedrooms into playgrounds, and that's fine because they need a lot of physical activity, but they should not go out to play at least. For teenagers, encourage them to keep talking to their friends because peer relationships matters a lot to adolescents. Make meal times, family times for all of you, and yourselves also should be switched off. As much as possible, make television time together time. If 3 generations are staying at home, try and bring in some time daily together where everybody sits and talks. We have an opportunity to refocus on relationship building, value building, and resilience building. Share with children all the positive stories that you hear during the day. They are hearing so much negativity, death, number, graph, ventilator, all sorts of things that they are hearing through the day. We need to help them hear positive stories that instill a sense of positivity in them. So make sure you share them. Encourage reading, so that, and read together. Then discuss those reading. These are all teaching moment strategies. And don't allow yourself to fall prey to the more conventional style of nagging, pushing, over criticizing. Too many do's and do nots. And ensure in your conversation We're always having a behavioral orientation, not a character orientation. So what is a behavioral orientation? For example, um, in this particular chapter, you need to put more effort in this math chapter. This chapter you are relatively better, but overall maths you need to put more effort. This is a behavioral orientation. What's a character orientation? You are not good in math. So when you are talking about something, talk specific behavior, don't use an adjective which is a personal one. So you don't label. You don't get into a shouting match. And yes, when children talk about uncertainty, I tell you what you tell them. What I tell them. I tell them uncertainty is the only truth right now. We don't know how things are going to shape up. Until that happens, what are our options? Our option is to focus on here and now, one day at a time. Just pass today well. And today has 3 goals: positivity, productivity, connectivity. Stay positive, enjoy. Stay productive, split productivity in 2 parts: padhai, which is academics, and take part in something to do at home and help your family. And stay connected. Now, this staying connected is very important. In fact, one of the reasons why when online classes were introduced, I continued to be in support of them primarily because I thought that if children can be exposed to their friends and peer network, they'll feel more connected. If they'll have a routine in the day where they'll start their day on time rather than any time and kabhi jaldi uth rahe hain, kabhi late uth rahe hain, it'll bring a routine to them. And the experience of studying and homeworks and work will actually bring a sense of normalcy to them. And these extremely unprecedented difficult times, feeling of normalcy is something children must have. So this feeling of normalcy, we need to create through our interaction at home. I'm for positive use of social media, but I'm also a firm believer of media literacy. First, we bring media literacy, then we encourage positive use. I do believe children should be encouraged to understand COVID very well because we can't have a partial response to COVID. It's our responsibility, not the government. It's the individual. Individual needs to understand you go out only when needed. You avoid crowded places. If you go out, you wear a mask. Wherever you are going must be for work or something which is important. You sanitize. You take all the precautions and you encourage children to do that. So no, you don't wear your mask here and go out. You wear it like this and children learn from you. So you be the role model. If you see fake news coming in, you tell them, see, this is not true. Why this is not true? Use that as a teaching opportunity. So they learn to filter. They learn to understand. Difficult times are always unique opportunities to learn. And these times are about first how we as adults handle the anxiety, the insecurity, the uncertainty, the work from home pressures. Deal with them effectively. Then reflect it to young people who can then understand it from their own point of view. And that's how they become learners. It's a cycle of learning that continues. So when I typically take these web engagements, I speak for about 20 odd minutes and I take the remaining time for questions. The reason being that with more and more digital time that we are spending, our attention span has also become very less. It's almost like those Insta stories that you have for 15 seconds only. And you swipe here and swipe there. But I've been telling schools also to have online sessions with a lot of breaks. The breaks, and that's breaks where you encourage children to go out of the room, break the cycle, and then do it again. So the digital fatigue also doesn't happen. So a pandemic is a pandemic because it involves everybody. Pan. It's not about individuals. It's not about individual difficulties. It's about collectivism and collective difficulties. So as parents, we instill the social self in young people, a social self that's responsible to the society, a social self that's knowledgeable and aware of social media and communication and media literate, a social self that's connected and positive, that spreads positivity, and frankly, a value based, altruistic, pro social child that grows in a school. And that is the parenting for today's time. On that note, now I'll start taking questions. Feel free, whichever format you prefer. If it's text, you can text. If it is voice, you can voice. I'll be happy to take all your questions.
So I'm going to encourage everyone to send in your questions via the chat, and then we can share it with Dr. Parikh, and he'll be happy to answer them for you. I have a question from a parent here, Dr. Parikh. I'm going to read it out to you. How do we take our conversations with our adolescents from no response, a reluctant smile, all okay, I'm fine, leave me alone, to a more engaging one where they actually open, share what they are going through inside? More so in these challenging times when the adolescents are glued to the screen most of the day, very limited socialization, limited physical activity and sports and recreation beyond screen, and the challenges that the parents are facing themselves with the pandemic. So how does a parent?
I think that's a very valid thing. And in your question lies the answer that first we understand that the pandemic has put a lot of challenges on teenagers, that they are also struggling with their own day in and day out routines. They also are restless to go out. They also need their own space. Because we are all at home, space can be an issue. And with younger people, it can become a bigger issue, especially when we are a teenager. So first we understand that. So we become a little bit more receptive and a little bit more open and give them more space, which means you be available if a conversation is happening, but you don't push for a conversation. If you push for a conversation, the odds are the teenager will withdraw and give you all those verbal, non-verbals that you talked about. At the same time, when they are interested in something, join them. It could be something they're watching, it's something they are reading, listening to. Join them. Ask them about that. Show genuine interest that they open up about something that they feel connected to. And that will give you inroads into their life and continue to have a participative, facilitative conversational style. Avoid prescriptive style of
Right. But Dr. Parikh, when you say that, allow them time, let them be, how much time is good time? I'm sure this is a question that would come into any parent's mind, is that when we think that we should let them, be and give them their space and time, how much time do you think is good for us to allow them this space?
There is no definition to this time. Time is going to be in continuous. So what you do is that you give the space, you be available, you have conversations. Based on the child's personality, they will open up.
Right.
They just need to feel that a non-judgmental open communication is coming there.
Right. Right. Thank you. I have another question here. Dr. Parikh said that talk to your friends. How much talk is good enough?
There's no how much. Let them talk to their friends.
As much as they want.
If they're also ensuring a normalish routine and taking care of their lifestyle overall, and also doing whatever little academics right now is happening, then let them talk to their friends. Talking to friends is positive. It's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Screen time has become a bigger problem, especially with teens during these times. We need more ideas to deal with it. If you could help us with that, please.
There are no ideas. Everything we are doing is on the screen. You and I are having a conversation. I will now see my patients on teleconsults digitally. I'll talk to my friends and family and distant digitally. In evening meal time, or later on, family time is going to be watching something on television digitally, or social media digitally. Right now, digital detox is not going to be easy. I don't think we should try and push for it right now. Couple of things we can do is a bit of physical activity, some recreative, relaxing art, but beyond that, not really.
Right. So for the time being, just let it rest and okay. Um, the next question I have are, what are good ways of disciplining the child in these times without creating more stress?
I think you encourage a child towards having a regular routine, being regular with the online classes, and you involve your child a little bit in some household related work, and you also follow the same routine. So if you are eating while watching TV, the child would do that.
That's
If you
so
are
true.
on the bed or working on the bed, the child will do that. So one is also through your own display, children will learn. So you mix and match. Just don't be too strict. It won't help. Especially in these times, a lot of people tend to be on the edge and frustration tolerances have come down. So
That's so true. That's actually very, very true.
just give more space.
Right, right. Okay. Um, how do we help students who indulge self-harm during these challenging times?
Talk to an expert without any doubt. Self-harm is not something which can be a conversation, uh,
Right.
which can be taken in any other direction or any other thing needs to happen. You see self-harm, you talk to an expert. You will always see it as a red flag. You will not wait, talk to an expert.
Right. All right. And how do you handle mood swings of 7-year-olds as they are stuck at home for months now? One moment they're crying and the next moment they're laughing. So how do we deal with these mood swings of our children?
Laugh with them when they're laughing and allow them the space to cry and distract them if you can, but it's a normal behavior.
It's normal.
Adults are also going through their mood swings. Children, of course, will.
Right. So we just let it's a phase and we just allow it to pass through with us, right? Um, how do we keep a single child at home engaged in a more constructive way, keeping in mind parents are working and can't always sit along with the child? Of course, screen time has become a go-to tool for the entertainment as well, because either they're doing their online classes, which is, and then if it's the entertainment also is going to be the TV or their video games and things like that. So yes, I think this is a very important question. A lot of us, working parents will have this thing, because parents who are working do find it very, very challenging to keep their children engaged, and specifically the parent is asking for a single child at home.
I don't think whether there's a single child or more children at home actually changes anything. I think it's about all of us realizing that in these times we will all go through our difficult moments because of the constraint of feeling that we are restricted. I am not into the concept of trying to reduce digital time during these times. I have been running a digital detox campaign for the past several years where I encourage children, especially I give them a dare of 4 hours, switch off from all gadgets and dare if you can. I've been doing this with them for 4 years. Across the country, we do this campaign, which is Saturday Digital Detox.
Okay.
But this is not the time. Right now, I'd much rather have a happier child, a more relaxed child, an engaged child, than a worried child. So I'll be okay with some digital interface.
That's very true. That's so true. Our next question is, okay, what if the child does not like to take online classes? And what if he's becoming defiant and doesn't want to attend or participate because he thinks that they're just not fun? I think this would be a question that
Sometimes they
would
are,
answer a lot of.
sometimes they are not fun. But then sometimes even in routine classes, you may not like a subject or two and you may not find it fun. So children need to be encouraged to understand that when you are studying something because, well, you are supposed to do it. Sometimes you may not enjoy it. what you are doing. If you have to do it, you have to do it. So you sit with your child, you encourage your child to do it, you make it fun, you ask them impromptu questions, you make the child see something interesting in that subject or that style, but children can't be skipping classes.
Yeah. So we basically maybe try and sit with them through the classes, a few of them, while they get.
We can, I mean, given the limitation that we have our work and so on, so on, I understand that as much as you can, but children should not be missing classes.
Right. Thank you. I have another question. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for your all your help today. The kids have become very aggressive staying at home. I have a 4-year-old who turns off very soon, and he says no very often. So, what do we do with the no's? How do we handle a no? We get a lot of no's.
Ask less, you will get less.
That's a good one, right? Ask less.
Theorists who work with children say that if we ask for too many do's and do nots, we get more no's. If our do's and do nots are less, we get more yeses. So you filter anything which is avoidable, don't ask for it.
Right. I think that's a very, very valid point here, sir. Okay, my next question is, how do we encourage relationship building with peers in a 4-year-old who has just started into a new school on a digital platform that too, and the first time he meets his classmates is on screen? So with the given current situation, he's not able to go out, interact physically. So it's not really a very comfortable situation to start off a new class or a new school in. So how do you counsel a child like this who's a 4-year-old and he's starting off in a new grade?
You don't worry about it actually. Your child is a 4-year-old, not gone to school. Whenever schools will reopen, and someday they would, your child would be able to adjust to it. Right now, your child has whatever fun happens online, and that's about it. Don't worry about it. You focus on everything else, which is building on other skills of your child, observation, some a lot of art, creativity. And it's quite okay, because for a 4-year-old to actually make a friend digitally is asking too much from them.
Right. How can we make kids understand about the side effects of excess screen usage?
Like I said, there is a problem with excessive screen usage and there is no debate around it. I'm just not sure right now is the time. Because from entertainment to relaxation to connectedness with family and friends to studies, when you are within 4 walls of your home, very little other stimulation is left. First, bringing the other stimulations, then chance will be less. But if other stimulations aren't there, what will they do?
Correct. Right. My next question would be how to offset the sense of alienation or detachment that is creeping in this restricted home confinement.
Just by staying connected. Lots of people will experience this. It's a part of what we are going through. It's not us, it's everybody. The only solution is lots of video calls, lots of audio calls with as many family, friends, distant family, relatives, alumni, whoever you can think of, just stay connected.
Right. Our next question is, something for our teens, I think. How do I encourage my high schooler to put on their camera during the lessons for a more engaged interaction? She says, everyone has their cameras off, so why should I turn it on?
There's the answer. I think schools should make it mandatory that cameras should be on.
Right.
Most parents, most teachers have been saying the same thing. That how do we know that?
The teachers are always encouraging them, parents are always encouraging them, but I think this is a challenge that most parents and teachers are facing today.
Full uniform, camera on.
Yes. Could you please share some red flags of a child struggling with pre-adolescence changes without knowing the actual root cause. Not all of us are equipped to gauge these changes.
Sudden changes in peer interaction, change of friends or avoidance of friends, um, more mood swings and irritability, sudden change in academic performance, crying spells are being withdrawn, not spending time with people the child preferred spending time to, any sleep appetite changes, any of these things happening, we should look at it.
Right. Okay. There's a parent who says that she's very concerned about what conversation is always going on among the friends, and how can she, it bothers the parent a lot because she's not aware of what conversation goes on between the peers.
Let peer conversations happen. Peer conversations have their own meaning. It brings a sense of self. Our sense of self has various dimensions. We learn so much from family, but we also need a very strong peer bond. I'm okay with peer interactions which are within safe premises.
How to tackle anger management during these tough times?
Take breaks. Don't have lengthy hours of doing anything consistently, be it work or home jobs. Talk more to people. Do some physical activity. Diet and hydrate well. Listen to music. Do a bit of relaxation, yoga, meditation, whatever you prefer. Divide your day in capsules so that you don't feel too much pressure of day in and day out. And keep talking to people. You keep talking to people, it acts as a release. So your anger will be less.
Right. Another parent asks, do I ask my child to make a commitment, or should I force him to do it if he is not living up to his commitment?
I don't think force works, frankly. We can't sustain it. Parents, at the end of the day, are extremely emotional beings, and children will know that. Children know that.
But many times, Dr. Parikh, we see that, although we do try the methodology of, getting a child to commit and, okay, tell us what you would want to do, the kind of that counseling the child in that way. But in spite of their commitments or whatever, something doesn't come forward. I think this question is springing off from there, that when we have tried there, been there, done that, and then this happens, what is the next step forward?
You keep trying that.
You just keep trying.
Just keep trying and you will break through. But the moment you get confrontational, the moment you get any hostility perception, downward spiral from there.
Right. Would you like to make some suggestions for mental peace while handling toddlers in their classes and the official work? There's so much of work that piles up and you're not able to get any time to yourself, with work. And what would you suggest that would be the best thing to do for some mental, so to say, respite?
Ignore what a toddler does in the class. Just ignore it. Let the toddler do whatever he or she wants to do. Take care of your own self also. Gives a little bit of time, fine, 15 minutes here and there every now and then on your own self. And I think that's something that will help you. Because as parents, sometimes we just stop taking care of our own self. And that's burnout. Just take time off for yourself. Whatever it will act as a positive experience.
True. Okay, this is a very interesting question. I think a lot of parents may want this answered as well. That how do you deal with fuzziness of a child when they rebel and, because they're not able to go out to a park? Like many times, like a lot of us parents do face this, Dr. Parikh, you're telling your child to stay home and social distancing, and the child maybe in a community living sees other children going down to play. And then he questions you, when those children can play, why can't I? So how do you handle a child who's questioning you like that?
Educate children about what's happening outside. Inculcate that responsible behavior in your own self also. Don't go out unnecessarily. Don't call people home. Don't do these friend dinners and lunches and parties and all. Completely avoid that. I find that adult society has become so hypocritical that we are saying that children can't go out, and they shouldn't. Let's be very clear about that. They shouldn't. But we are okay going to a friend's party. Yeah, we should be doing that also. It's just a matter of a few weeks, maybe months here and there. If we just control ourselves and control our basic style and just ensure safety and contribute to the society to bringing the numbers down, we'll do each other good.
Right. Okay, so while we're telling, that we should encourage our children to channelize their mind in another direction and to, encourage them to do household work, how do you get your kids to help you with household work? Because you refuse to do that either.
Bring some fun in it. Bring some fun, don't force. Bring some fun in it. But to be honest, the feedback I've got is that many more children are actually taking part in it than less, to be honest. It's just that you bring an element of fun.
Not many children are taking part, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Reverse, children are taking part.
They are? Okay. All right. Okay, that's good to hear. Okay, this question says that the role models children see today have changed drastically. So the importance of education sometimes is much lesser for them. How can an expert like you help us in channelizing their energy in the right way?
I appreciate your question. This is something which bothers me a lot and continues to bother me. We are surrounded by irresponsible role models who do not know what to say and what not to say. Freedom of speech is probably the most misunderstood thing in modern day times. Freedom of speech does not come with freedom of responsibility. You be responsible and then you freedom of speech. You can't pick and choose. And we have all sorts of people saying all sorts of rubbish. And they have a couple of million followers, which is very unfortunate.
Absolutely, yes, that's true.
Influenced by this. I feel media literacy needs to be inculcated in our part in schools. Children need to be made to ask questions. Who's saying this? Why this person is saying it? Who's paid for this? Who gets the benefit of it? Why are they showing it to me? What is scientifically correct? What is factually correct? Is it half truth? Is it full truth? Is somebody else having some other opinion on the same? Should I see two opinions before making one? This is all media literacy, which I think should be a part of education system.
So you're saying there should be more dialogue on these things instead of just the child listening and, gathering it himself.
We need children to be media literate. We need parents and teachers to be media literate. We need media literacy to be a part of our education.
That's very true, sir. How does one provide a pure interaction environment in these times? The online interaction is already very, very overdone. So what else as an option can a parent give their child for? There's no other option.
No other option. I would be very, very uncomfortable with teenagers or children going out and meeting each other and going out in public places. I'd be very, very uncomfortable right now. I think it's just about a matter of a few weeks. We should control ourselves.
Right. And another question, which is also very relevant, is how, we find children becoming very lazy these days. We are encouraging them that go for a run or, do some kind of a physical workout, but they don't want to do anything. So how do we deal with this laziness that's overcoming the children being home?
That's okay. Treat it like a long summer vacation.
All right. A long summer vacation it is. Okay, is it advisable to listen to your toddler every time? I mean, as in given to your toddler every time, or should they have a habit of getting to hear a no as well? This is a question for a toddler.
No, you do give a no. You give a no reason without being loud, without making it seem like a scolding experience. But a no is a no. Children need to learn to say no, and children need to learn to hear no both.
Right. This question is interesting, that after all these online classes and this time that the children have been home, my child cannot want to go back to physical school at all. How will I be able to cope with that?
Don't worry about it. They're dying to go out and, go out there and, they'll give everything to scratch a few tables and mark their own names and, write something on the boards and have some fun and play a bit of football and, have canteen ka khana. They're all waiting to do that. Don't worry about it. Children will not get accustomed to this. They really are wanting to go out there.
True. I think they're all waiting to just get out there. That's very, very true. Okay. Okay, this parent says that, how do I manage a situation with a 10-year-old child who has always been extremely disciplined, well-routined, sincere and responsible, but now refuses to complete his schoolwork or help around? He is just going in the other way. He's becoming defiant, a 10-year-old child.
Give space. Involve your child in what your child prefers or likes. Take a step back from his or her academic interests right now. Maybe the child might be struggling because of the sudden change that has happened in our lives. Bring some joyful, positive moments that the child can relate to, and then take the next step.
So there's a parent again who's saying that, their 8-year-old child who does not want to go back to school. He keeps, and they're a nuclear family, he keeps missing his classes, and he doesn't want to attend his classes. And, how do you keep the motivation levels up for the child and also for themselves? That, at times like this, I think even parents are finding it a little challenging to even motivate themselves, to be able to motivate the child. They need to motivate themselves. What can they do to motivate themselves to be able to handle a situation like this?
We're all going through that. Even for all of us working from home, we need to keep pushing ourselves to continue doing it. Same applies on children. And that's why the peer network makes a difference. So the more connected they are to their friends and they're able to see that all of them are doing it together. I also feel the nature of online classes needs to have a lot more of social engagement. And I've been saying this very, very clearly. For me, online classes are about routine, normalcy, and connectedness. Academics comes forth. So that's the approach that needs to be there.
How much COVID information should you share with your child?
Based on the child's age, factual information. It's an infection illness. If we take safety, we can be safe. How to be safe, those things, that's about it.
Right. I have a parent who's asking me, how do you handle the shyness of a child?
In non-COVID times, it would have been essentially that you give child space, make the child express in front of people that the child is most comfortable to in front of. So for example, starting to recite a poetry in front of mother or father, then siblings, then all of them together, then maybe just one or two friends, then a couple of friends, then teachers, classroom, standard. Do this over a span of 6 to 8 months, gradually exposing the child. Child will be able to come.
A parent asks that with regards to anger, is it better for a parent to, is it okay to show your anger, or is it better to hold it in and not vent it out in any way? And what would be the right approach to that?
You shouldn't get angry at a child. We shouldn't be getting angry at a child. We should be role models who learn how to deal with the anger in a way that children learn that even if you don't like something, you absorb it and you give it in a way which is positive, which is a learning and not a negative experience.
Okay. I'm going to now, I think we're running short on time. So I'm going to take just a last question. How to encourage a child to study a subject he is working on, but is not able to score? Some encouraging words which will help him to keep going on and to keep staying motivated. He's putting in all his efforts, but he's not able to get his marks.
To also bring a change in the nature of self-tests. Encourage your child to do self-tests. Do self-quizzes. Do some fun surprise tests. Do some highlighting the right word kind of games. Bring a relaxation to the same subject, because sometimes anxiety of performance, interferes with our functioning.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that's about all. We have time to take questions with Dr. Parikh. And it was really, really very informative, and all these, the questions and answers that the session that we've shared just now. So I'd now like to thank you all for being here, and also a very, very special thanks to Dr. Parikh. And it was indeed a wonderful experience for us, Dr. Parikh. We are all taking back something very meaningful that will definitely add value to our relationships. And all thanks to you. So I look forward to seeing all of you again with us in our next edition of Pathways Dialogues, Conversations That Count. Till we meet again, goodbye, stay safe. Thank you very much for joining us today.